Welcome to Survivor Voices Show with me, your hostess, Vennie Kocsis. I am the author of Cult Child and other publications which you can explore on my website, VennieKocsis.com. That is VennieKocsis.com. Survivor Voices Show is dedicated to providing a platform for trauma survivors to tell our stories in a safe space. Each show will bring you a plethora of topics from authors to artists, survivors living with impairments, healing journeys, updated news, and real, raw, vulnerable moments of laughter and sometimes tears. Find me on Twitter using hashtag Survivor Voices. Connect with me on Facebook at Survivor Voices Show page. Join our Facebook group, Survivor Voices, where you will find support and be embraced as you share your life. Thank you for being here. And now, here is our show. Karama, thank you so much for joining me today. I have really enjoyed getting to know you and speaking with you over the past few months, and I just am excited for you to share with everyone your story. So I'm going to give you the floor and let you start in on how you became a Jehovah's Witness and what happened from there.
Well, thank you for having me, Vennie. I appreciate it. I want to say hello to all the listeners. I promise not to bore anybody, and we'll get right to it. My life and my story about being a Jehovah's Witness has a slightly different beginning than most people, but the beginning is so important because you need to understand that that was my foundation for everything. So I was born to parents in New Orleans, Louisiana, at the end of 1975. And what you need to know about this part of it is that my mother had 2 miscarriages and was very upset and was looking for guidance and wanted to know what was the problem. So my dad got tested, had all kind of things go on, and then finally my mother talks to somebody in their ministry who told her the story of Hannah. Hannah was a woman in the Bible who was barren and couldn't have kids.
Right.
So she prayed this prayer, and she ended up conceiving. She prayed the prayer that she would, if God gave her a son, she would bring the son back to God, dedicate his life to God, and live and work in the temple. So he became the prophet Samuel. So the person tells my mother that story, and then my mother prays that prayer. So, lo and behold, months later, here I come.
Wow.
So while she's in the hospital, hasn't left yet to go home with me, somebody she knows who is very Afrocentric happens to be in the hospital at the same time. She tells them that story, and they said, "Well, that's amazing. So what are you going to name him?" And she's like, "Well, I'm going to name him Rob after his dad." And the guy's like, "Nah, you got to name him something that story is always going to be part of his life. Every time he says his name, he's going to remember that story. Like, it's that important." So my first name is Karama, which means gift from God. Mm-hmm. My middle name is Sadaka, which means return to God. So my entire life, that's the story that I've had to tell people whenever, because I always got the questions, wow. What's your name? Are your parents Muslim? Or is that your real name? Or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, this is my real name. And that's the story that goes with it. So you need to know that as a foundation, because my parents were already kind of into spiritual things. My mother was, I'm surprised my mother wasn't a Black Panther. She was very, very adamant about my education, information, and that the things that were becoming available to us as Black folks, that we took advantage of it. She made sure I was very into reading and writing, taught me how to spell and even have really good penmanship, down to the homework that I did, made sure that I wrote properly, made sure that anybody who I spoke to would understand me clearly, that I could articulate at a very early age, things like that. So besides my name and the fact that I had curly hair, I was just one of the kids and had a good old time. I remember hanging out with my family. Everything was cool. And then my mother's mother died. And it was around that time that my mother started going out at night to somewhere that wasn't work, but it wasn't a club either. And every now and then I would go with her. And this place was very strange to me, but nothing bad happened. It's just, it wasn't school, but it wasn't work. But we sat down in these chairs and around a whole bunch of people who weren't talking. And there was this person on stage talking. They would use the Bible. My mother told me to be quiet, pay attention, and I could read so I could follow along. And this was about Jehovah and Jesus. And okay, cool. Nothing to do with me, but
How
all
old
right.
were you?
There were other kids there. We got to play around. Everything's cool. And then my grandmother, she had epilepsy. And during the winter, she had a seizure and fell onto the heater. So she's having a seizure, a grand mal seizure, and got burned, third-degree burns over 95% of her body.
Oh, my gosh. How old were you at this time?
I was a kid. I think I was like 3.
Oh, wow.
I have vague, like I have maybe 1 or 2 memories of my grandmother, but I have vivid memories of the funeral. I mean, when she died, like everybody talking about it. My grandfather lost it during this time, like the guilt of leaving her home, not being there when that happened. So now they send me, like I was a baby, they send me over there to cheer him up and hang out with him so he doesn't snap. And my mom's dealing with him and everything okay. So now my mom gets pregnant and has so now I have a little brother. So all of this is around the same period, and I'm setting this up for the foundation so you understand my story as we go forward.
Okay.
So within a really short time, I went from losing my grandmother to having a baby brother. And now this is my first job. I'm going to be big brother. I'm going to teach him everything I know. And okay, cool. So on August 3rd, 1981, my father was murdered. And what's really, this is some, odd throwaway type information, but it's just so you get to know how I make these connections. About a week before he was murdered, I had my first cavity. I didn't know what that was at the time, but I knew it was the first pain that I remember being in, like pain that it wouldn't stop.
Like physical pain.
Yeah, physical pain. So we had made an appointment to go to the dentist Monday morning. So Sunday night, everything's cool. I'm so excited because everywhere I go with my dad is cool. I don't know what the dentist is. I know my tooth is going to stop hurting. So fine, we'll be going. All right, so Sunday night, I fall asleep on the sofa. And Monday morning, I wake up to my mother holding my baby brother at the end of the sofa, telling me that she had something she needed to tell me. And what? Okay, what is it? Your dad was killed last night.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like, she is in this moment so like non-present and numb. As she's talking, like very, very distant. But I mean, looking at me, talking to me, but spaced out.
How old are you at this point?
5.
Okay.
So she says, now remember, I had been going to the Kingdom Hall with her every now and then up to this point, and now I've been going enough that I know I could tell you what they talk about.
Right.
So what I've been hearing at this Kingdom Hall, remember, my grandmother just died. So everybody's been talking about, you can see your grandmother again in the resurrection. So that's my mother's big deal. Like, there's a lot of stuff about being a witness, but every time we talk about being a witness, it's about the resurrection. And so now she says, your father was killed. He's dead. Do you know what that means? So in this moment, when somebody asks me, do I know what that means? I'm going dictionary definition.
Right.
I'm searching for the answer in my head. So now, the only place I really hear people talking about people dying is the Kingdom Hall. So, your dad was killed. He's dead. Do you know what that means? Oh, that means we're we're going to see him again in the resurrection. Now, that's me answering the question, thinking of the answer they would have wanted at the Kingdom Hall.
Right.
You ask me as a kid, do I know what that means? No, I don't know what that means. I don't. But okay, so when I said we're going to see him again in the resurrection, she would refer to that moment later as a moment that strengthened her faith.
Wow.
So, back to the moment when she says this, she says, yes, we're going to see him again in the resurrection. And that to do that, that means you have to do everything the witnesses and Mama says. So I am telling you, as a foundation for this story, you know everything I just told you.
Yes, that is so heavy. What a responsibility to put on a 5-year-old, you know?
So, in learning about this, okay, what do I have to do? Tell me, let's go to the Kingdom Hall. So now I'm really being introduced to everybody. And now all of a sudden everybody's coming at me with a lot of sympathy. And it was love bombing. I didn't know what to do. Of course, I can tell you this now that I know the terminology is love bombing. But love bombing a kid who just lost his parent, or just lost his dad, it's overwhelming.
Right.
So really, my dad's funeral was the only time in my life where I was around my actual family and the witnesses at the same time.
Really?
Yep. And we're there, and it was the biggest juxtaposition because I'm with my cousins, and now these kids at the Kingdom Hall, they're calling themselves my cousins too. And it's like introducing family to each other, but one of them is not my actual family. And it's just these weird people. And everybody was seeming nice. Of course, like I said, it was a funeral. So and around the time my dad died, everybody was really soft, speaking softly and, oh, can we get you anything? Oh, you poor little man, and blah, 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 blah. So that happened for a while. And then I start learning more and more. So now my mom's coming home with books instead of just getting a book when you go there. Now she got the books we're going to study at home. So I started learning a couple things about the hall in really odd ways. Like the way I learned we didn't do anything with birthdays is not because I was told that. It's because somebody invited me to a birthday party right across the street from my house. And I'm assuming we're about to get dressed and go. Next thing I know, the door is closing, and I'm like, hey, what happened? Well, we no longer celebrate birthdays, Karama. What? Wait, what? Why? Well, now she's in the book. So now when my mother starts to ask
in the
questions,
Word.
Yes. Let's get the book and show you why. So these two people in the Bible, when you discuss birthdays, they were beheaded. Do you know what beheaded means, Karama?
Who did she use? Do you remember?
John the Baptist and either the cupbearer or the baker for Pharaoh, for Joseph when he was locked up in prison. And
it's almost comical, It's so bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah. So, from 5 and 6 years old, I'm being told about people being beheaded at birthday parties. So, of course, now I believe that's what happens at birthday parties. People get beheaded.
Wow.
And again, I need you to remember, this was not some priest telling me this. This was not some bishop forward. This was my mother.
Right.
And I need to remember all of this because if I go to a birthday party or eat birthday cake, that means I'm sinning and I'm displeasing Jehovah and I might never see my dad again.
Gosh.
Okay.
Whew.
So, the street that my dad dies on is 3 blocks. No. Yeah, 3 blocks away from where we live. Also 3 blocks from where we live is the school I attend. My dad died on the corner of the school I attended.
What can I ask? What happened,
I didn't know. To this day, I've gotten so many conflicted stories. I've never gotten a police report. The original story that my mother told me is that somebody was fighting. This man was jumping on this woman, and my dad jumped in to stop the guy from beating her, and they started fighting, and the guy pulled out a gun and shot him.
Oh my goodness!
So he took off trying to get to his gun, which was like in a car a couple blocks away, and he ran past the house.
What?
And collapsed on the corner to go get. So yeah, so I had this idea that my dad died a hero, and it really, you got to remember. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you this part. I'm sorry. This is back to the foundation. The same conversation that she's telling me that he's dead. She also said that he's coming back. I said, when is he coming back? She said, soon. So it wasn't this whole, Karama, you just got to do this for the rest of your life. It's like, you just got to do this for a little while.
And it's an unknown, soon. It could be tomorrow or it could be 3 months. It's just leaving you in the unknown.
Yep. No, but not just the unknown, the anticipation that it's going to happen soon.
Right. Wow.
So I have the strength and the energy and the focus. I'm 5 years old. I got nothing else to do. I don't have a job. I don't have kids. I don't, what's my job? Big brother. That's it. So pretty soon, the switch was really, really slick and subtle and took a while. Because, like I said, the birthday thing happened. And then, of course, back to regular life. I still was around my cousins, my parents, my grandparents. My grandfather hanging out with people in the neighborhood. Everybody still looked out for me. I was a little smart kid. So everybody's teaching me and buying me little presents and gifts and stuff and checking on us. And next thing you know, now we're reading from the books all the time. And now we don't celebrate any holidays now. And now, okay, my birthday, well, we already don't celebrate my birthday. But my birthday is between Christmas and New Year's, so we don't celebrate any of those things. And now we're going to meeting all the time. And now we start to go in field service, which is strange. And that means now on Saturday, I'm going to be walking around watching my mama talk to people at their doors and give them the same books and magazines that we have at home. And all of this is so we can see my daddy again. And I hadn't processed what death meant. There was no finality to death if you were coming right back.
Right.
So at no time, and I'm being 100% honest with you in this moment, I didn't have a clue what this meant. Because what I was being told and constantly reinforced by the people we were associating with more and more and more now. So it was really, really, like I said, it was subtle. But when my mother would go, when we would go to hang out with some of the people in the Kingdom Hall, we go to their house. They'd invite us all the time. So she's this newly widowed mother with 2 kids. So she's got like this little prodigy, always talking in one way, and a baby who's really, really tough and really not needy. But Rob didn't know anybody. He was a baby, so he's hanging on and tight with my mom, and it was just very, very, very strange because you didn't notice all of a sudden that I hadn't seen my actual cousins in a year.
Right.
But seeing these new people all the time because when we weren't at meetings, we were going in field service. And when we weren't in field service, we were hanging out by one of them's house. My mom had people who studied with her, and she had other people that she studied with. So nonstop witness stuff.
That's what I think people don't understand. Sorry to interrupt you, but I really familiarize with that. That's what is so important for people to understand is that, I mean, that's how they got my mother. It was like Bible studies at somebody's house 3 times a week for a year. Not for a few months, not for 30 days, no, a year. Then you're vetted. Now you're in. Okay, so we'll do these other activities. Yes, it's so important to me that listeners understand that the luring into a cult is a very slow process with a lot of little mind control injections, like they did using you as, I mean, that's horrible, but I really relate to that.
I understand. One of the things I started noticing was when I started going in field service, because to me, this is when it went to another level. Um, so I can tell you a story. When I was about 6 years old, we start going, and one day my mother just asked me this is before we left the house. She says, Karama, you've been out with me in field service in the ministry. Yes. Do you hear what it is I'm talking about? Yes. What is it? So I'm saying basically the stuff I heard her say before. We're Bible students. We have the Watchtower and Awake magazines, and you basically read the cover. This magazine is about crime. This magazine is about God's judgment, and we're leaving this with our friends and neighbors for at the time the price was like a dime. So each magazine was a dime, and people normally would give you a quarter, and you give them. So you walked around with a pocket full of nickels to give people nickels back from quarters. And so it's this crazy stuff where I'm telling her what I remember her saying, and she's like, "Okay, do you think you want to say that?" Okay, cool. So within 2 weeks of me first starting field service at 6 years old, I could talk you out of your Bible.
Wow.
Here's how it went. We go to the door, and I'm just telling you, no bragging, I was a cute kid. Because you need to know that to tell you what people were not prepared for.
So
like you
adorable.
come to the door, you just think. Say it again?
Well, that whole, oh, you're so adorable.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, I'll listen to you. Yes, but remember, what they didn't know is that you have a kid right here who believes that he's doing this so he will save his father. So there is no objection that you're going to give me that will shut me up. There is nothing that you're going to tell me that will make me believe I'm wrong. You are not prepared for the onslaught that will meet you at this door, and wrapped in a cute package. So I will start telling people whatever the magazines were about. We started all talking about that, and it didn't matter because I was 6. I was cute. I don't know anything about crime, or do I? My father just got murdered. Right. So this magazine about crime, imagine a 6-year-old showing up at your house telling you that.
Wow.
So the people they would give me the strangest looks. I've had people start crying at the door, hugging me. And what I'm really telling them is, okay, do you believe in God? Yes. Do you have a Bible? Yes. Bring your Bible, let me show you something. And they're like, what? Get your Bible, bring your Bible. So everybody would come up, and everybody pretty much had the King James Version of the Bible. Mm-hmm. So they get their Bible, and I say, go to Psalms 83:18. So they go to Psalms 83:18, and they talk about you whose name is Jehovah, you alone are the most high above all the earth. Did you see that? Yes. Jehovah's name, yes. Okay, then we go to Exodus, and I'll show you another scripture where Jehovah's name is in your Bible. Now, you didn't even know that was in your Bible, did you? No. You know what else is in your Bible? Words like thee and thou. Nobody talks like that anymore. You should see our Bible. Look at this scripture. Show you our Bible, the New World Translation. Ours has normal language. So, you think you'd be interested in getting one of these Bibles? A Bible that sounds just like you talk? Wow, yes. 6 years old. I was killing it. Because they were not ready for this. So I'm thinking I'm doing this great job, and I'm going to see my daddy soon. And there are people looking at me like, oh my God, I'm not doing enough in the service of the Lord. This little kid just lost his dad, and he's out here with his heart and soul. Yes. Yes. I had no clue.
I'm speechless. I'm just...
Yeah. Oh, baby, this is the beginning.
Talk about a mind fuck.
Yep. And when I say I was a prodigy, I got skipped. So after my dad dies, I go to the school, and I'm like I'm an instant weirdo. Why? Because I'm standing at the corner. My dad died looking for blood on the ground.
Mm.
But all the kids see is me just walking in a circle with my head down. So now I'm the weirdo. Now I'm the one that's teasing.
What
When
did you
5 years
hope
ago we
to
were cool, but now I'm just weird.
explain to me? What was going through your mind when you were doing that searching? What were you hoping to find, like a remnant of him?
Yep, just to see it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That is horrible.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, same school. I'm standing in the corner looking through the fence at the ground. So they bring me inside and they start talking to me. And it's like all these adults and got me in the office and asking me, am I okay? Blah, 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 what's going on? And they start talking to me, not really trying to cheer me up, but just being real with me. Like, Karama, you know that you were the salutatorian last year and you weren't even trying to do that. You were just, like kindergarten, dude. Like, we really want you to succeed, but we know this really big thing just happened. So what can we do to help you? And I was like, y'all can become Jehovah's Witnesses because that's the way I'm going to see my dad again.
Wow.
Because when I was at the Kingdom Hall, they would always tell us stories about kids at school giving what they called a good witness, meaning being preachers and speaking to people wherever you were, and that you were a witness all day, every day. You just happened to live in this world, but you were no part of it.
Right. Yes. This world is not my home. I'm just a passing through.
Yep. So we would always, we went to the Kingdom Hall. Pretty soon things started to change. Like my grandmother would get us Christmas, not my grandmother. There was this woman who basically adopted my mother after her mother died. So I remember my actual grandmother, but I also remember this woman too. And this woman pretty much raised me.
Right, I understand that.
Okay, so she would always sneak us like Christmas presents and stuff. So one year my
was
mother...
she a Jehovah's Witness?
No.
Okay.
No.
Wanted to clarify that. I was like, oh.
She was not a witness, and my mother used to preach to her all the time.
So she would give you gifts like under the guise of something else.
You couldn't fake it. I mean, we weren't supposed to get any gifts, so it wasn't like she could say, "Oh, it's not a Christmas gift; it's a birthday gift." No gifts, nothing like that.
But when she gave you something, what did she use to kind of cover that? I picked up this stereo, or I found this stereo and thought you might like it. Was it like that? And that's how she gave you stuff?
Up, this is a Christmas gift. I don't care what your mama say.
Ooh, okay.
So pretty soon, like, okay, I'm slick enough. I guess I can say it now. I'm slick enough that if you say, "Hey, I'm giving this to you," just say I gave it to you. Make something up. Don't say it was a Christmas gift. Okay, cool. I'll hide the wrapper. I'll just say, "Hey, she gave this to me a couple weeks ago. I just left it at the house, but now I'm bringing out something."
Right.
But I got a baby brother who's like, "Oh, look what she gave me." And if she gave that to him, they know she wasn't going to give him a gift and not give me a gift.
Right.
And since I didn't say anything, now I'm going to get in trouble for hiding a sin. Gosh. And there's a scripture that could back that up.
A lot of them.
Yeah, you could make the Bible say whatever you wanted it to say. Whatever preference you had or thing that you were against, prejudice you may have against anything, you could tie it in. And I started learning that as time went on. So my dad died in 81. So between 81 and 84, my mom basically lost her mind. And I was old enough to understand it in a kind of a logical way. I mean, I wasn't an adult, but I was really, really sharp.
Right.
One of the catches to being a really, really, really sharp kid is never shutting up. So imagine nations that I was asking for during this time.
And
I
also
want
the
to,
motivation for you to do that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I want to make sure my dad gets to come back. How will we recognize him? How will he know me? Time might pass. My mother's showing me this book. It won't be that much time. Here, this picture, this is you in this book playing with a lion. Look, in my book of Bible stories. The same book that also tells you about the beheadings. And look, here's a man being swallowed by a whale. Look,
Let me ask you a question. Those pictures, just on a cultural level, was she using pictures that represented you as a person of color, or did she use pictures like what were the pictures? How do they depict that, or do they mix cultures together?
I have a lot of questions, Benny.
Sorry, but you know what I mean, like those pictures, like
yeah, I got you.
why Jesus is staring at me, but I'm just curious, like when she says this is you with the lamb or with the lion, what was the
Yes,
depiction
the
of
kid
that
who
child?
looked like me.
Okay.
Like I'm a light-skinned black kid, so from a distance, a little Asian kid would look like me if his hair was right.
Right.
It was a boy. That's pretty much all I identified with at the time. Like
Right. Got you.
look, he had a skirt on. Okay, I'm the one with the pants. All right, cool.
So as an
You know,
interpretation, it was like this is you, but this isn't you. It's just that this is a little boy and you're a little boy.
I took everything literal. I'm sure she didn't mean, Karama, this is you, but that's sure what I heard.
Got you. Okay.
Because remember, why I take everything literal is because my mother said my dad's coming back to life. So if I could believe that, yeah, this is you in this book, okay? That's not a stretch.
Right. Right.
So my mother dated this guy, right around the time she was losing her stuff. She was kind of slipping, and my mother got very, very, very physical with me, and
Wow.
really just started beating the hell out of me. Like it got crazy.
Oh my gosh.
I wasn't able to really explain to anybody what was happening. So let me just clarify this before I even get into it. There's no sexual abuse that my mother ever did me. Nothing like that.
Okay.
But holy shit, the beatings, the straight up beat downs with a hand from someone who was 3 generations removed from slavery. I am talking a physically strong black woman who wasn't getting any sex, who wasn't having any conversations with any adult after 5 p.m., who had just had this serious loss, and I'm the only person in there talking back and forth to her.
Oh my gosh.
My mom started beating the shit out of me. Seriously.
Did the religion play a part in that? Did it, did that contribute to that change? Was that promoted to punish children in the
Yes, it was. It was. Here's one of the funniest ones. The whole spare the rod, spoil the child, blah blah blah.
Right.
But this is the first time that I would ever be around adults who traded corporal punishment tricks with each other.
Yes. Wow,
Like,
I've never heard it put that way.
Yeah, like oh man, oh that's nothing. Oh, I got a tree in the backyard. Well, we don't tell them to pick a switch. We got a specific paddle in the house. You should try this. So again, I have to emphasize a lot of these things that are passed down come directly from slavery. I am from the deep, deep South. They had stuff where it's like you'd get held down by people, face down, somebody just beat you till they tired. You still had people talking about cat of nine tails. When I was a kid, I'm like, what is a cat of nine tails? Oh, that's a whipping instrument. It's a whip.
And to go one step further, too, so that the listener understands, that is all systematically taught by white people. So what I'm hearing from you was done in my cult. We were held down and beaten, too. So you have a systematic torture that is taught in all of these cultures for people of color. It was taught in slavery, and the same system of abusing, teaching people inside of that that culture to abuse each other.
Absolutely. Here's something crazy. So the people in the books we had were white people, but everybody in the congregation I was in was black.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times we would, like my mother, like I said, she was almost a Black Panther. So now I'm seeing Jesus and his 12 apostles, and these are all white dudes in Africa. And I'm like, wait, how, what? But I thought you said we was supposed to be, wait a minute, what? She starts telling me now, no, we still black, but instead of us being proud of our race, we were cursed by God because of what Noah's son Ham did after the flood. Yeah, I'm like, wait, what?
Wow,
Yeah,
Karama, that is such a blow to your whole self-esteem system.
you think? Because I'm running around with this African name, and I'm still running around with a bunch of dashikis that my mama had, and when she used to have afros. And yeah, I didn't forget none of that. I didn't forget Toussaint Louverture and Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey and Martin Luther King. I didn't forget all of that. But now my baby brother will never know any of this because he has no point of reference. He was taught to read using the same book with the picture of me in it, the book of Bible stories.
Right.
The stories they're so graphic.
Yes.
Like these. Oh man! Before the 10th page of that book, you've seen so many people get killed, and so many horrible things happen. But now my mother is doing her best to fulfill her promise to teach her son everything she can about God, and everything she knows about God now is being directly influenced by these people.
Mm-hmm.
So, watch the game. Here's when I started to catch on to this as a kid.
And how old are you now?
I'm probably about 7 or 8.
Okay.
So this is when my mom starts dating this guy who's not a witness. I have nothing to say about it, except the dude kind of looks like my daddy. And he's hella cool. How cool is he? He's the man that introduced me to Star Wars.
Wow.
I am to this day the biggest Star Wars fan you will ever meet.
Why do you think that she dated someone that was not a Jehovah Witness? Why would she take that step if she believed so firmly in the religion? Because did she think she could convert him?
I don't think so. I think he was normal. He was a normal, nice dude.
And he accepted her.
Yep. And accepted me.
Right.
I had conversations with this man. He started teaching me stuff. He was the one, unfortunately, who was telling my mama all of these stories about how his mother used to beat them. She was using that information to beat me.
Because he was using it in that positive way of like, well, you know, I turned out great because I got my ass beat as a kid. So, you know, it was presented to her that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And not in a suggested, here's how you should beat Karama tomorrow. It's like, no, this is a lot. Just talking about corporal punishment growing up in the Deep South. And when I told him that, he was talking about, I just was telling your mama something about a dictionary and phone books and making you stand in the room with your arms out like a cross. I said, yeah, my mama did me that. And he broke down, like, wait, what? I didn't tell her that so she could do you that.
You got beat with phone books too?
Well, no, I didn't get beat with phone books. What would happen is I would have to pick up a phone book and a dictionary.
Oh, and hold them out with both your hands.
Hold my arms outstretched,
yep.
yeah.
I know that punishment too.
Say that one more time.
I know that punishment as well.
Yeah.
How about the X on the wall, just high enough where you had to stand on your tippy toes?
Never got that one. Wow.
Till your calves ached, and if you came down, you started over again.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could trade some stories.
Some sadistic shit, isn't it?
Yep. So, let's see. My mom's dating the guy named Charles, and then she and Charles break up. So, right when I'm confused, because remember, I still wanted to see my daddy again, but Charles was cool as hell. So I'm figuring, okay, if he becomes a witness and Armageddon comes tomorrow, and by the way, Armageddon means God's judgment where he comes and destroys all the wicked people. Or another way of describing that is God comes and kills everybody on earth who's not the Jehovah's Witness.
Some violent shit.
Yep, and there are pictures in their books to back this up. Every book you have, every magazine, every brochure, every tract, every piece of publication they got.
There's so much critical thinking around that theology that isn't given to you, that you look back in hindsight like, I never thought about the end of the world and what the cleanup would be like. Nobody ever said, be prepared to clean up, dead bodies and dead animals. And none of that ever crossed my mind.
They told us that. They basically said the animals, okay, so after Armageddon and everybody's dead, the witnesses would come out of hiding, and what would happen is you would have the animals would eat everybody.
What?
Yeah. The birds, and if they had a bird population
Only the dead
right
people. They would only eat the dead people?
Yeah, they wouldn't eat the living people, but the animals would eat all of the dead bodies. And
wow.
That's where they would go. So as a threat, a witness would tell another, for a witness to say to another witness, okay, I'm going to see you one day as the birds are eating you. That's a legitimate threat from a witness.
That's like code.
You'll be destroyed in Armageddon, and your body will be rotting, and the birds will eat you, and I'm going to see that happen.
Oh, wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just, I wish I was exaggerating. Like, I wish I had some horrifying, they set me on fire and, beat me to death. No, not like that, but God, what they do to your mind?
Mm-hmm.
Whew. Okay, so, Charles and my mother have broken up, and by this point now, we are expected to, when we go in field service, now we got to start wearing suits. So it's around this time when I'm a kid, now we're not wearing shorts and gym clothes and school clothes in the ministry. Now I'm wearing suits. So you thought I was cute before. Now it's official.
Now you're suited and booted.
Yeah, now I look the part.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can't get any fashionable haircuts now. I have to look like a young minister.
Mm.
So, my mother takes me out of that school, and then I go to a private school. And now, I get skipped. Basically, I was in first grade, and at the first school I went to first grade until lunch. And then after lunch, they put me in second grade. And I'm bored. I'm bored out of my mind. I'm thinking my dad will be here any day. So anytime you have a conversation with me, that's what I'm bringing up. I don't even understand why I have to go to school. Armageddon will be happening any day. And the only thing I have, the only connection I'm making to Armageddon is Armageddon's got to happen, and then you'll see your dad again. So it's not even registering to me that for me to see my dad, for my one wish to be fulfilled, everybody's got to die.
Wow.
What sense does it make for me to make friends?
Right.
Who cares that we both like Star Wars and we both in the same grade and we the same height, and I wish I had a brother look like you. You wish you had a brother look like me. We all friends and we like the same Transformers and the same cartoons, and we both like the character on G.I. Joe, and we both like Thor, and we both like Captain America. But no, Karama, that's not your friend. That's your associate. What? That's your associate. What does that mean? Your only friends are worshipers of Jehovah. If they don't go to the Kingdom Hall, they're not your friend. Oh, I don't get it. Look, the song. Look at King Solomon. Mm-hmm. King Solomon was wise, the wisest person who ever lived, and everything was working until he started dating people who didn't believe in Jehovah, and Jehovah had to destroy him in the end for it. So, don't have friends
It makes me think about cult life and the difference between what I went through, where I was sequestered and had zero contact with the outside world, whereas you had to, it's like, what's worse? Being in the middle of society and seeing it all and having to deal with that whole influx, or having the privilege, really, kind of in some ways, I hate to use that word, of not having to even see it.
Whew. I do not know. One day I'm going to give that some deep thought. Have you ever seen the movie The Matrix?
Oh, yes.
The best way I could describe Life as a Witness is when he first told Neo that anybody can be an agent. So to constantly be on guard, and if you're not with another witness, not to trust anything anybody was telling you.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Family members.
Yes. We were definitely, yes. Us too. Anybody outside of the group is essentially the enemy.
Yep. If Satan could act, Satan himself, the one you read about in the Bible, the one who started this whole thing, that's who's trying to get you. He's walking around like a roaring lion seeking to devour someone, is the scripture they always use. So now we got to think of lions. Now, where I grew up, I never saw a lion, but I sure knew what an alligator was. I sure knew what birds were. I knew what dogs and cats and stuff were. So I knew what things, if they got after you, what they could do to you. So that's what it was basically, hey.
And what about in a wolf in sheep's clothing?
Yeah, we got that one all the time.
Yeah, us too.
But it was crazy because the wolf in sheep's clothing didn't bother me if the devil could wear my grandmother as a suit. He would be the one telling me, okay, so here's how they said Satan would use you. If your grandmother ever offered you a piece of birthday cake or some Christmas food,
right,
that's the devil using your grandmother.
Yes.
That's not even your grandmother at that point.
Yes, she's been possessed.
Yes. And we weren't supposed to watch any movies that had anything demonic in it. Well, what's demonic? Anything magic.
Right, yes.
Okay, so sometimes, and I'm just telling you, I was in a congregation in a city that the education level was not that high. When I say anything magic, sometimes it was whatever the adult thought it was.
Right.
Whether it was magic or not.
Yes.
So it was like, okay, this person, they think that Superman is magic because he could fly.
Yeah, because that's of the devil.
Yes, everything's from the devil. And again, the further you went back, the older the people were, the closer they were to slavery. A lot of these people have these old superstitions.
Right.
And they tie them in and mix them with whatever scripture they want. And it's just this hodgepodge of what the hell are you talking about? And we have our own Bible, even though we deny we have our own Bible, even though Jehovah is all through this Bible. Why would I read the King James Version? Because I tell people to get rid of the King James Version and read this one. I never had a King James Version, so I didn't know this.
But you need to know the King James Version so that you can first relate to that person, right? Because how are you going to get them to get rid of something they're familiar with if you're not familiar with it?
Oh, you're using logic. That's not what's at play where we did.
No, but for the handlers, that is logic, right?
Yes.
For the people at the top. Yeah.
No, absolutely. But for us, the grunts on the ground,
right.
I just did what I was told. I was trying to see my daddy again. So if you'd have told me that I had to tap dance when I went to that door, I would have tap danced.
Right.
Because I was all in. So now is when the story speeds up.
Okay.
My mother starts dating this guy. And this guy is a witness.
Oh, another one. Charles is gone. Enter another male.
Enter Eddie.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
My mom marries this guy, and immediately let's say we were 97, 98% witnesses. We immediately jumped to 150% witnesses. Oh, we went to every single meeting. We went to every convention. We went outdoors. We went in field service on days that wasn't Saturdays. We studied on meeting days. We did not watch TV at all. When we were riding to the Kingdom Hall, we couldn't listen to the radio. When we were going to meetings, we had the Watchtower on tape. When we were driving to the conventions, we had the Witness Convention drama on tape. It was a total immersion.
Mm.
And what made it worse was the guy could barely read.
What?
It's a really bad combination to put the guy who's in charge of me, in charge of me, in charge of explaining why we are witnesses, when the whole point of me being a witness is to see my daddy again. So, I'll tell you this little side story just to add to this. My mama had been dating Eddie for a while, and of course, she didn't tell me, but all the other kids told me. And this was around the time that Atari was getting really big. I'm showing my age. So, Atari and
Frogger!
yeah, they came out around the same time in our neighborhood. And so my mother asked me one day, Karama, what do you want to get? What do you think we should get? Atari or cable? I said, Atari. The next day we had cable.
What?
The next day we had cable.
What was the reasoning?
I don't know. Now, let me be honest with you. If you ask a black woman what the reason was, it's because she said so.
Mm.
That's the reason enough for me. That's fine. I still accept that as currency some days. But in general, I'm a kick it. She just asked my opinion. I got that. But I need you to remember how big that was to me. Because months later, she said, Karama, do you think I should marry Eddie? I said, yes. Now, why did I say yes? Because the last time she asked me something,
she did the opposite.
Opposite.
Mm.
So this time I say yes. You know what that turned into? Karama's doing well. He's getting over his dad. He's supposed to be marrying Eddie.
Oh, no.
What did that do? Made the rest of my family look at me like I was a traitor.
Right.
And I thought you've been wanting to see your daddy all this time and blah, blah, blah. And I cannot explain to these people that it has something to do with a video game from a while back. Why I answered her like that. So, she marries this dude. And I can't stand this dude. And everybody thought it was because he wasn't my dad. That was a lot of it, but Charles wasn't my dad and I loved him. This dude was a vile, rude, homophobic, illiterate, ignorant, racist dude who called me sissy and punk and faggot, all kinds of shit all the time.
Oh
my mother was beating the shit out of me, and this dude was destroying any self-esteem I had.
Oh my God.
And what kept me in that house was knowing that if I left, my little brother was going to catch it worse.
Damn.
So I stayed there and took that shit. Meanwhile, I'm the smartest kid in any school I go to. And I'm getting offered all these awards and all of these things that I cannot participate in. I can't join a debate team. I wish to God they would have left me on the debate team. I would have roasted them alive. I would have laid to waste any competition in a debate.
Yes, you would.
That's all I did was talk.
Right.
All I did. So, and my motivation outshone anybody. Anytime we had a conversation about anything competition-wise. My motivation shut people up. Hey, why are you here? I'm here because I want to make $50 for this charity. Why are you here? Because it's the only way I'll see my father again. It was like that. Like when I would say that, like it would shut down any conversation, any competition. People would be confused, sympathetic. I didn't care. I didn't ask. I was told he'd be back soon. Now my mama's married to this country dude that I can't stand, who just seems to love torturing me, telling me I'm stupid, telling me my ideas don't work, telling me just anything he could figure, anything he could find to hurt me, would say it. However, this is the man that gave me my first camera. So between Charles and Eddie, we got Star Wars and photography. Now, am I saying that the photography is going to let him off the hook? No, he gave me the camera. I still had to take the pictures. It ain't like he taught me to use it.
Right. He handed you something he didn't realize was going to become an intense and amazing outlet for you.
Yeah, he handed me something that was broken. That's what he did.
Really?
My ass grabbed some tools and fixed it.
Shut up.
Like by this time I was probably about 11 years old.
What an asshole. When you fixed it, did he have any type of reaction?
No. He was like, what you doing with it? I was like, taking pictures. That thing take pictures?
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. People still, like, every now and then try to bring that up. Like, oh my God, that's so great. I remember he gave you your first camera. And I'm like, yeah. That's what y'all call it. He gave me some bullshit. I fixed it. So that's what that was. Anywho, so with him being there, now I have this resentment because now we met his family. And now everybody who calls themselves my cousins, nobody is actually my cousins. And I want to see my cousins again. And the only time I get to see my cousins is maybe if we in field service. And I got to pretend that I'm giving them magazines. Just asking, hey, how's Uncle Ronald? How's Auntie Barbara? Yeah, okay, I got to go back. I got to go. Karama, we ain't seen you in 4 years. You can't just stay here and drink a cup of Kool-Aid with us? No, the group is going around the corner. I got to go. Here you go. I'm going to leave this magazine with y'all. It's about poverty in Africa. See y'all later.
Wow.
I saw my sister 3 times. The 4th time I saw my sister, I was married with my own child.
Wow. That's a big loss you can never get back, you know. I experienced the same thing. That's what people don't understand. Well, I mean, only those who have lost their childhood can understand is that, I mean, once you've lost it, you've lost it. Once you can never get those years of connectivity back. I have a huge family, but I don't know any of them. I'm the weird cult kid of the family.
Wow.
Thanks for joining me, Vennie Kocsis, and remember, get through it, don't stay in it.